Union Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal brushed aside speculation that US President Donald Trump had any role in bringing India and the European Union together for their landmark free trade agreement, saying the issue was not part of the discussions. Responding to a question at a joint press conference in New Delhi, Goyal was asked whether recent US tariff actions introduced during the Trump administration and affecting both India and the EU had acted as a unifying factor in pushing the deal forward. He said there had been no such linkage, adding that the matter was not discussed at any stage of the negotiations.
Thank you very much, Maria Tadeo, for Euronews. Minister, you have signed this deal now, and both sides agree, which is rare these days, that this is a win-win situation for both. I was wondering, however, India and the European Union share the fact that both countries were really hit by tariffs, both the European Union and now India, to 50% from the Trump administration. So I wonder, how much of a unifier beyond a win-win was the U.S. president?
I don't think we even discussed this at any point of time.
As Piyush Goyal dismissed insinuations about Trump being a unifier, the United States' top trade official reacted to the India-EU FTA, saying the deal appeared to tilt in New Delhi's favor, granting India broader access to the European market. US Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, speaking in an interview with Fox Business, said India was likely to come out on top of the agreement and predicted that New Delhi would enjoy significant gains once the deal comes into force. Greer said he had reviewed some of the details of the agreement and felt that India stood to benefit more overall, particularly through increased market access to Europe. He also pointed to indications of additional mobility provisions, noting that European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen had spoken about facilitating movement for Indian workers into Europe and added that on balance, India is going to have a heyday with the deal. India and the European Union on Tuesday concluded a landmark free trade agreement described as the mother of all deals that will create a combined market of nearly 2 billion people and set out a transformative 5-year agenda focused on using trade and defense cooperation to support the rules-based global order. The pact, accounting for almost a quarter of global GDP, will remove tariffs on 99% of Indian exports to the EU, while reducing duties on more than 97% of EU exports to India. The US trade chief, however, appeared to play down the development, saying shifts in the global trade landscape had pushed the European Union to look for alternative markets as the United States places greater emphasis on domestic manufacturing and adopts tighter trade policies. He said that with President Donald Trump prioritizing domestic production and imposing what he described as costs on access to the US market, other countries were seeking new outlets for excess production, prompting the EU to turn to India. He added that the bloc remained heavily dependent on trade. According to him, the agreement would provide India with wider access to European markets, supported by its low-cost labor advantage, as the European Union appeared to be reinforcing its commitment to globalization. Earlier, without naming the United States, EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas said that superpowers often overestimate their own strength and underestimate their need for others, stressing that cooperation is always necessary. She also said that superpowers want to rewrite rules of multilateral order.
Superpowers very often overestimate their own power and underestimate their need for anybody else. This is not, mistake you're never going to make when you come from a small country. You always know that you need others. You need to work with the others. Now, I think there, again, if we talk about the economic coercive practices, all of us are worried about this. Dealing with this separately, we are not able. But together we are able. So those countries who still believe in free trade should also stick together. And there is room for other issues to develop further. We see superpowers wanting to rewrite the multilateral order where everything is divided. We have seen that in the history before, and I don't think, coming from a small country, I can honestly say this is not in small countries and medium-sized countries' interest. Of course, India is not a small country, that's very clear, but still, I think, there's room for cooperation for the European Union with India also regarding foreign policy.
The timing of the FTA is significant, coming amid renewed global trade uncertainty driven by aggressive US tariff policies and fragile supply chains. The India-EU trade deal has been finalized after negotiations spanning more than 2 decades. Piyush Goyal said that once implemented, it will create a combined market of nearly 2 billion people, bringing together India, the world's 4th largest economy, and the EU, the 2nd largest economic bloc.